shillings they take. 14 shillings. It's robbery.
Insulting behaviour, wasting paper, and throwing litter in the park.
So what?
Income tax, eh?
Yes, that's right. The harder you work, the more you pay.
Aye, it can seem like that, but you earn more too, remember?
Yes, I earn it, but who gets it?
Man, your ignorance is phenomenal. Do you mean to tell me that you've been paying your taxes all these years and never bothered to find out how your money was spent?
Oh, Chancellor of the Exchequer, eh?
Not yet.
All right, I'll buy it.
You and me and the rest of us are going to have to pay to the government this year in taxes £3,000 million.
And where does that lot go?
It all comes back to the nation, that's us, in one form or another, ultimately.
It'll be a frosty Friday before that ever happens.
Here, let me make it simple for you.
The old Victoria Park Lancer.
Let's take a pound. A pound that's paid in taxes by folks like you and me, and I'll show you how it's spent. Here, lend your pencil. Now, there are three main divisions. Peace, the national debt, and war. Now, 7 9 out of our pound goes to peace. Three and threepence out of our pound goes to the national debt. And that leaves 9 shillings for the purposes of war.
What, all that lot for war?
The cost of the war didn't end on VJ night. We're still paying for it. Man, we spent an awful lot of money those 5 years. One fighter, £5,000. One 25-pound shell, £2 10 shillings. Wow! £2 10 shillings. £5, £7 10, £10. On and on until we were spending £500,000 an hour. £9,720 every minute. £162 a second. For 5 long years. Until victory. And so you see, we're still paying $400 million towards the cost of the war. And that's 2 9 out of our pound. To the victor, the spoils of victory, aye, and the responsibilities of peace. Armed forces have to be maintained in Germany and the Far East. The Middle East, a key strategic centre, must be securely held. Our empire commitments are still spread half across the world. That costs money, lots of it. 6 and threepence.
6 and threepence to keep the peace?
Aye, to keep the peace.
And what about this 3 and threepence?
That's for the national debt. It's not to repay the national debt. It's a kind of interest paid on loans to the government. Oh, it's mainly for the last 2 wars. I'm bound to say, I don't fully understand it myself.
You surprise me.
And now for the things of peace. The things the whole world wants. Health, homes, aye, and learning forby. And we don't only want them as plans in the sky, but brought down into everyday reality. Take health. Our children's health must be safeguarded from the earliest years. Hence our welfare centres, where baby can be watched and tended. And there are not enough of these, nor of clinics, nor of any such places. This year, 4pence out of our pound comes back to us through our health services. Aye, and in the smiling faces of our children. sure you'll agree we can't afford to stunt our children's minds. And too many of us have memories of schools like these. We know that these are no places for our youngsters. They're going as fast as we can afford to remove them. New schools are building. There is the drive for new teachers. We've raised the school leaving age. New ideas are being put into practice. One and twopence out of our pound, too much to spend on our children's education, on their future. A 100 years ago, the Industrial Revolution covered our land with cheap houses for cheap labor. Even to rebuild them was a big enough undertaking, and then a policy of building decent, ordinary houses is costing £60 million. We're using sixpence in our pound to solve the problem of how to live happily with mother-in-law. Aye, a wee bitty away from her.
Those are the more familiar social services. 1 and twopence for education, sixpence for housing, fourpence for health. There's another biggish item, what we might call a sort of jock of all trades. That's to keep down the rates in poorer districts, and government training schemes, the roads, the courts of justice, aye, the whole arithmetic from the judges, policemen, and the hangman. And indirectly me.
What about me? Don't I get a cut?
Are you a family man? Have you got bairns?
Yes, 2.
Well, don't you get your family allowances?
Fat lot I get. The old woman collars the lot.
Well, there you are. A cash payment made over the counter every week. And the same with old age pensions. These deserving causes run away with another 1 and 7pence. And last, but not least, there's the 2 and 4pence that goes towards the food subsidies. Think of them when you present your ration book. In many countries, the cost of food has risen. Then equal distribution has broken down. And the basic rations have disappeared into the black market. In Britain, we pay 2 and 4pence out of our pound to help keep prices steady and give everyone fair shares. And if you were a housewife, you'd know that you're getting back as much as 12 and 6pence a week from the food subsidies.
You seem to have spent all the country's money, except this here 11pence.
Oh, you must understand, I've only given you a very rough estimate. I think we'd better call that petty cash. So, that's how we spend £1 paid in taxation during the present year.
Blimey, what a memory.
Oh, I've made a kind of a study of it, you know. But since you mention it, I'll have the twopence for your chair.